The following podcast will contain adult language and heavy spoilers. It is intended for a mature audience. Hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new series here at the Cinema Recall Podcast. I'm your host, the Vern, and joining me is returning guest Jason Soto from the fabulous podcast Whatever with Jason Soto. Welcome to the studio here, Jason. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back.
Man, I know it's a long trip for you, and I appreciate very much that you took the time out of your busy schedule to walk all the way to our little studio here.
Yeah.
It's a little cold here, but it's going to be good. Anyways, we are doing, for Cinema Recall, I've been doing these monthly movie series. Last month, we covered Barry Lyndon with Jason's co-host, Mary Mitchell, of the same podcast, Whatever with Jason Soto, and I had such a fun time doing those episodes with her. I wanted to bring Jason himself back on to talk about this movie, Mulholland Drive. Now, Jason, what is your familiarity with David Lynch and Mulholland Drive?
Oh, man. Okay. So, first off, my intro to David Lynch as a person or as a director was Twin Peaks.
Sure.
I watched Twin Peaks back when it was new, back in the early 90s, and then I watched the follow-up movie, Fire Walk with Me, and I was like, this guy is a very interesting director. I really like his work. And then I looked into a lot of his stuff, and then right around mid 2000s, I went and checked out Mulholland Drive. Because I really wanted to watch a lot of his movies, and so I checked out Mulholland Drive, and it was as close to his Twin Peaks style that he got since he stopped doing Twin Peaks, and so I was in love with the movie.
Very much so. Now for me, Jason, I was introduced to David Lynch from a movie called Lost Highway that he did in '97. And I remember Lost Highway because I had friends of mine who really wanted to see the movie because the band Marilyn Manson was going to be in this movie. And I had friends of mine who were, at the time, huge Marilyn Manson fans. I realize now the guy is considered a huge prickbait for what he's done. Fair enough there. But around the time of '97, I had friends that were really into his music. And they said, "Oh, Jason, he's in this movie called Lost Highway. You want to see it?" I'm like, okay. I love movies. I'll see anything. And we watched it. And it's a very bizarre, very surreal film. And I've never seen anything like this before. It's a different mode of storytelling and filmmaking. I'm like, who the hell is this guy that directed this movie? And I looked him up, David Lynch. I'm like, all right. So I went back and I saw Blue Velvet, and then I saw Wild at Heart, and then I started watching the TV series, and I rented this cassette tapes, but it wasn't the whole complete season of it, so I never got to finish the whole season until recently now because they're on Netflix. Then I saw his movie Dune. Then I watched he directed a movie for Disney called The Straight Story, which he made right before Mulholland Drive. And both films are very, very different, but also you can totally tell that it's a Lynch film. Whatever movie you put on from David Lynch, you can totally tell that it's a David Lynch film. And even though The Straight Story is about a guy who drives a tractor across country.
Yes.
It's a G-rated Disney film. It was released by Walt Disney Pictures. It was nominated for a few awards. I know it was nominated for Richard Farnsworth for Best Actor. But yeah, it's a G-rated Disney flick. And and then you compare that with Mulholland Drive. Different movies right there. Now, I'm sure, Jason, you're aware that you talk about Twin Peaks, that Mulholland Drive started off as a TV pilot.
Yes, I am very aware of that. Yes.
And it was it was produced by Ron Howard and his Imagine team. It was actually an Imagine production.
Oh wow.
It was supposed to premiere on ABC Networks, the same
Mm-hmm.
Disney affiliate of ABC. And the executives there, they didn't much think of the pilot, and they decided to scrap on it. And so David Lynch found some foreign investors to give him some extra money to help finish the movie there. Now, you can go onto YouTube and watch the TV pilot. You can. It's very badly. I mean, how do I describe this here? It's a bad. Like the audio is not right. The video is not right too. It's basically just like a very schmaltzy TV pilot. And if you watch this shit, you can totally tell right away, like, oh, well, yeah, this is a horrible TV pilot. So I'm kind of glad it did get scrapped, and it did become an actual movie. The only difference is the actual pilot is pretty similar to what the movie is. There's just like longer alternate cuts, and the music is different. They put orders of scenes in different ways, in different orders there. After you find out about Rita didn't after you find out that Rita has amnesia, like when she first like gets into the house after the car accident, she gets into the house.
Oh yeah.
Then it just cuts to Betty just getting to the apartment. Like the whole scene with her and the old people is gone. The one scene with the guy talking to the other guy in the diner is gone. And then after Betty after Rita gets to the house, it just cuts to the scene with the hitman and the wrong hit he does. So yeah, just a bunch of scenes out of order right there. So it's kind of a fascinating watch to see the actual pilot. But I would say skip that. Go watch the movie itself there. For this month, what we're doing is we are kind of get into like a deep dive into Lynch's Mulholland Drive. Now, after you saw Twin Peaks, you've seen other David Lynch features. Do you have like a favorite of his?
Yeah, well, okay, so like I said, I was introduced to Twin Peaks.
Sure.
And I kind of wanted to look into his film stuff. A friend of mine lent me Eraserhead, and true story, the day he lent it to me, the day after, I came down with a cold. And I was at home, I stayed home from work, and I was like, I guess I can't think of a better time to watch Eraserhead than when I have a cold. And I was hopped up on like Dayquil and whatever else, so I watched Eraserhead for the first time with a cold on cold medicine. So that's an interesting way to see that.
Yeah.
But I did kind of enjoyed it, even though I had no fucking clue what was happening in the movie whatsoever. My next one that I actually kind of like that people don't seem to enjoy is Inland Empire.
I do need to rewatch that movie because this is like kind of like the third part of what I call his dream trilogy, with Mulholland Drive being in the middle and Lost Highway being the first. Like Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, and Inland Empire.
But I kind of didn't mind. Like, it was a little long. Like usually his movies aren't that long. There was like 2.5 hours.
This one was 3 hours long.
It did feel long, but at the same time, I kind of didn't mind it.
It's
I don't know.
very different from his because before this was Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive is probably David Lynch's last studio film.
Yes,
that he was making here.
Yes, it was the last thing he made that kind of made some sense.
Well, and also too was put up by a major studio. It was promoted. David Lynch was nominated for Best Director at the Academy Awards. He won Best Director at Cannes Film Festival. It had good amount of stars in there. It was easily promoted. Then after that is when the web started to come into more of an existence in 2000. See, a lot of our listeners out, well, no, I'm sure many listeners know this, but the internet really started coming to its own in the early 2000s. So David Lynch really adopted that and started putting out shorts on the internet. This is where that shorts Rabbits came out. That actually has the voices of both Naomi Watts and Laura Ellen Herron as the voice of the Rabbits in this. Yep. And I believe that short Rabbits premieres at the front of Inland Empire.
It does. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think the rabbit stuff is kind of intersped throughout the movie. Like it goes back to it.
Yeah.
It does start with it, yes, but then it'll go to like the Laura Dern plot, quote unquote, with the weird shit happening to her, and then it'll go back to the rabbit stuff, and then it'll kind of go back and forth. Yeah, I don't know what Inland Empire is about, but I enjoyed watching it.
That would be a movie to tackle on another episode, because that one, I mean, it took me like several watches of Mulholland Drive to finally understand at least what I think Mulholland Drive is about. Inland Empire is going to take me several years of rewatching that movie, but I'm very excited to. Now, there's a theater right by where I live called the Heights Theater, and they're doing now a David Lynch retrospect over there. So they're replaying all of his old movies in theaters. So I recently rewatched The Elephant Man with Anthony Hopkins. Very good movie. I had no idea that movie was produced by Mel Brooks. And Mel Brooks, I guess he got the rights to do the story of The Elephant Man, and he wanted to release his own movie studio. I mean, this is way before he started putting out, Spaceballs and any of his other Brooks Films features. The Elephant Man was the first one, and I remember after a screening they had of Eraserhead, because they were trying to find a director, and they got contact with David Lynch, and David Lynch says, "Well, it was nice knowing you, but I'm not going to get this job now. I have to see Eraserhead. No way in hell." So the story was David Lynch is out there, smoking, and Mel Brooks and the producers are inside the theater watching Eraserhead. The movie gets done. Mel Brooks comes out and says, You're a madman. I love it. You're hired." And he gets hired for the job. We all know the story, too, that David Lynch was originally hired to be the director of Return of the Jedi.
But what? Wait, I never heard of that before. What?
Yeah, David Lynch was originally hired to be the director of Return of the Jedi.
Holy shit.
Wow. George Lucas was also a fan of Eraserhead as well as The Elephant Man, and he really wanted to have David Lynch direct that movie, but David Lynch decided to take on Frank Herbert's Dune, and went into that movie himself there.
I cannot imagine David Lynch's Return of the Jedi like that.
I know, but after you watch like Dune and see the stuff there, but I can picture.
Oh my god, that is so weird.
Just imagine how like weird and surreal the whole Jabba the Hutt scenes would be.
Yeah. Oh, I want to live in that universe now. Go to that timeline. Where can I go for that?
I mean, especially if you actually follow up like his version of Return of the Jedi to like Blue Velvet and all the sexual violence that happens with that movie.
So does that mean like Boba Fett would have been played by Kyle MacLachlan?
Yeah. I
or like Mando would have been Kyle MacLachlan. Just recast Harrison Ford with Kyle MacLachlan. There's Kyle MacLachlan everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, Isabel Rossellini would have been, Princess Leia, or maybe Laura Dern.
No, Laura
Dern would be too young in that one. I don't know.
I don't know.
I picture Isabel Rossellini to be the girl that was dancing for Jabba the Hutt. That kid.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That would be her. That would be her. Yes, absolutely.
So after he made The Elephant Man. The Elephant Man was nominated for a whole bunch of awards, including for Anthony Hopkins and John Hurd. And so based on the money he received from The Elephant Man and the critical acclamations, he was able to make his own film, Blue Velvet. And then later on, Wild at Heart, the Twin Peaks series. The Twin Peaks series really catapulted him into more like mainstream categories because it was on TV. Everyone seemed to watch Twin Peaks. It was parodied on Saturday Night Live. So whenever you have a show or a movie that's parodied on Saturday Night Live, you're at the top of pop culture. So everyone knew about that. Then he started. They created the prequel, the Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which is I'm actually getting to see in the theaters for the first time next week. So very excited. I'm finished up the series, at least season 1, season 2 on Netflix. I'm like 5 episodes away of finishing season 2. Then I get to watch the movie Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, and then I'm gonna go back and watch the Twin Peaks The Return. Because he does return back to the series after he did make Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire, Lost Highway, stuff I mentioned there before. But yes, we are actually going to be covering Mulholland Drive. That was a long way of saying that we are going to be covering Mulholland Drive on these next upcoming episodes. Very excited to have also a surprise returning guest, Ryan Luis Rodriguez, of the podcast Reels of Justice, as well as the Coolness Chronicles. He reached out to me saying that he was a big fan of Mulholland Drive and has seen this movie more times than probably I have or Jason have. In fact, how many times have you seen Mulholland Drive, Jason?
I'm not gonna lie, it's not a huge number. At least 3.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Well, this would be good. And we're gonna kind of break the movies up into segments here because there's a lot to talk about in each one. Totally. But we are going to be spoiling this movie heavily. In fact, we are going to tell you the ending of the movie during our first episode. So I urge all of you out there to watch the movie before you listen to us. I mean, you can't just listen to us. I mean, it's good just to hear us talk because we are handsome, intelligent, funny men. And
indeed, yes.
You should listen to us anyways, just talk about movies. But yeah, we're just going to break up Mulholland Drive, talk about the cast, talk about the production crew of this. I want to talk a little bit more about the actors involved because a lot of some of our main stars in this, it wasn't their first film, but it was definitely the movie that catapulted their stardom, especially Naomi Watts. Who, had more of a career after this movie. I don't know about now. She's still acting now, but she's not like the main star of things anymore like I saw her in before. She's in a movie in Hulu right now called like Boss Level or something like that. Oh gosh, I'm gonna mess up the name of it. But there's a movie on Hulu kind of done in a Groundhog Day style way.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. What was that called? Yeah, it's like Next Level or something.
Yeah, Boss Level or something like that.
Something, yeah.
But, so we're definitely talking about her career, as well as the other people in the production team. We're going to talk about the mystery of this. We're going to talk everything, from the scene at Club Silencio, to the audition sequence as well. But I think it's going to be a really fun episode, and I'm really grateful to have Jason on here to talk about that.
Happy to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Be awesome. Jason, what's been going on here at the whatever with Jason Studios? I heard you have your own podcast studio.
Yes, so I've decided to reach out to other people who need help if they want to do a podcast, but they don't know where to start or whatever. So I said they can get me to do it, and I'll help them record, edit, whatever they need to do. And so I have opened up. It was called Whatever Studios, but I wasn't a fan of the name. So I just recently changed it to Rabbit Hole Podcasts. So any podcast that I'm involved in falls under the Rabbit Hole Podcasts umbrella.
Very nice. Very nice. Tell listeners where they can find you. Even though if you go to our website, cinemarecall.net, I'll put links to everyone's site here. But on here, in case we find some person who just found like a pair of earphones and a fucking phone, and they're like, "What's a podcast?" Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna find out what this podcast Cinema Recall is. I could call for help, but why would I want to do that?
No, listen to Cinema Recall. Absolutely. This is the first thing you should do. Okay, any aliens who come to this planet, they find a phone and headphones on the ground. They're going to immediately pick it up and type in Cinema Recall, and then this is the first episode that they find. So, yes, to you people out there, I host a podcast called Whatever with Jason Soto. It's a comedy podcast I do with my friend Mary Mitchell. We do it every week. We just goof around, talk about random bullshit for about an hour, hour and a half. We talk about music. We play games. We talk about movies. We do pretty much everything. You can find that on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get podcasts from. Just do a search, and you can check that out there.
Very cool. All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Mulholland Drive. Keeping it very, very vague. Not even going to any of like what the plot is about this. I just mainly want to talk about David Lynch. Only thing you need to know about Mulholland Drive is about a woman who has amnesia, and she has this friend who's trying to help her solve who she is. And that's all I'm going to say about Mulholland Drive, but it goes to way other things here than that. So look forward to our episodes. We're going to be releasing episodes hopefully every week or every other week or so, but just stay tuned to cinemarecall.net. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Check out our Facebook group called Crack. Yes, I want you to do Crack, which stands for Cinema Recall's Awesome Cinematic Club. Club spelled with a K. Yes, a bunch of great people on there. I post videos, and other people post stuff and weird movies and all that stuff. Yeah, that's it. Just stuff, and other stuff making love to other stuff, and that stuff has a baby, and that baby grows up, and then they have other sexy stuff with other stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Oh, I'm into that. All right.
You remember the movie The Stuff?
Yes, I love this stuff. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So yes, anyways, folks, I will see you all very soon. Big shout out here to our co-host, Jason Soto, as well as our special guest, Ryan Luis Rodriguez, who will be appearing next week. And that is it. Good night, and silencio.
You know, a film is, when it's finished, all the elements together in a way that feels correct and feels complete. And that's what goes out. So it's since it's complete, in my mind, nothing should be talked about more. And it's a very big shame when something is finished and then people want you to translate it back into words, because it never will work. It never will go back into words and be what the film is. It's like describing a piece of music. You don't hear the music. You just see the words, and maybe it conjures up a desire to go hear the music. But a theme, you know, like some films maybe have a theme, but even if it has a theme, it might be a different theme for different people who see it. So it's better to let people conjure up their own ideas, having seen and experienced the film.